you so much for being on the show with us today.
Hi, Bhavna. Thank you for having me.
Today we want to talk to Cary, the man Cary.
That'll be a welcome change, I suppose. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we start with the most basic question, and we ask all our guests this question: is what is the one question that you're sick and tired of answering?
All my work is in Davao,
Yeah.
and I come back on weekends. So when I see family and friends, naturally the question that they ask me is, how's Davao? And as much as I get asked that, it's really not a problem for me, because I'm excited to talk about what we're doing in Davao and talk about the progress and all the good things that are happening there. So it's also a way of being able to market the city and market our projects and things like that. So I wouldn't say that it's a question that I'm sick and tired of answering. Yeah.
And Davao is home, right? It is as personal as it gets.
Well, especially recently. I mean, it's been my family's home for a very long time. But for me personally, when I moved there about 5 years ago, now I kind of consider it my second home. I mean, Manila will always be my first home. My family is still here. But Davao is, I really truly consider it a second home and not just a place where I work. Yeah.
So what we do once we ask this question is we kind of put the question back to you and we say, so Cary, how is Davao?
Better than ever.
Really?
I mean, it's. I moved to Davao and started working there about 5 years ago, and the one thing that I noticed was that it had changed so much over the last, I'd say, decade or so, the last 10 years, and so much development, so many new things sprouting up left and right, and sure enough, I mean, Davao has been one of either the fastest or the second fastest growing city or region in the country.
Yeah.
So for me, somebody that grew up in Manila, spent time abroad, when I was young, I would find Davao a little bit too slow and too laid back. Now, not at all. My family loves it. My kids love it. So yeah, I mean, if I could spend more time in Davao, I really would.
And say you were away from the country, so you were studying abroad, and you were. Did you always know you would come back and do real estate, or did you want to do different things?
I knew I would come back to the Philippines. After I took my MBA, I didn't take any, or I didn't do any work right after school. So I knew that my heart was really in the Philippines. I just didn't know where it would be, whether it would be in Manila or in Davao, and in what industry.
Yeah.
I always thought that I would be in banking.
Really?
I did investment banking after I came back from the US, actually, and after college, my first job was actually in banking. So, yeah, I thought I would be a numbers, finance, banking guy my whole life, but that changed about 5 years ago.
But does that change when you run a business, or are you
No,
still
not at all.
primarily a finance numbers guy?
It becomes a very useful tool,
Yeah.
I suppose. I think any entrepreneur would need that finance or that numbers sort of background to be successful. So it's come in handy quite a bit.
But what do you think? Do you feel like you look at a problem from a number perspective, or do you look at it from an operational perspective?
I think any problem, you'll have to see it multidisciplinary. Numbers is always a good way to try and solve that problem, because numbers always tell a story, right? And that's one of the courses that we actually took in business school was turnaround management, and it was very quantitative. But having said that, I mean, I believe you have to see every problem from an operational standpoint, from a numbers standpoint, and even put your gut feel in there and try to predict really what's going to happen in the future. So it's not simple.
So how much gut feel would you put into? How much gut feel is acceptable from a percentage standpoint?
Well, now that I'm working for a bigger company, I'm working for my family, I think I can't put as much gut feel as I'd like to, but I'd say maybe at least 10 to 15%
is acceptable.
Is acceptable, I think.
More at a mature stage, but what about an early stage? I mean, I'm guessing that percentage kind of would vary, right? For all the young entrepreneurs out there.
Gosh, I'd love to say that, follow your gut and just
very
go for that
scary.
home run.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the time it doesn't work out. I guess when you're starting a business, you're so passionate about it, and you think that every business is going to succeed based on what you read or what you saw when you went abroad or whatnot. So I would suggest in the beginning, you really have to take a calculated approach. Have a proper feasibility study, have a proper business model ready, and keep on going back to the numbers. But you can still make a lot of decisions based on gut feeling, I believe. You'll still need to have that, I guess, that balance, I suppose. Yeah.
Even at early stage, right? Because yes,
Yeah,
the
you
failure
do.
rate is 90% for
Yeah.
any young company.
I think you still do, and if you didn't have that aspect, I think you wouldn't have fun.
You wouldn't have fun.
No, you wouldn't have fun.
That's where you are.
Especially if you're in the early stage. I mean, if everything became too bookish and academic, I mean, like, where's the fun in that, right?
So the gut feel gets the fun in, but the numbers keep you under check and say, hey.
I guess you could say that.
Okay.
I guess you could say that.
So what would the alternate business have been if it wasn't real estate?
Gosh, that's a great question. To be honest, I think, having been an entrepreneur, having had some success and a lot of failures at that, I would probably say that I would still probably be in the corporate side, doing something a bit more predictable, I suppose. Maybe I would still be in banking. What kind of banking? Who knows? It could be investment banking, it could be commercial banking.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as an entrepreneur and a startup, you wouldn't start something outside of real estate if you had
Right now?
If you wound back time and you said, hey, I would not do real estate, I would do something else if I could.
No, I think I still would.
Okay.
I think I still would. As to what that business is, I mean, hard to say.
It doesn't matter at some point, right? After a point, if you're passionate about anything under the sun and you run with it.
I guess so, and it really depends what's relevant at the time that you're thinking about doing your business.
Do you believe in that concept of understanding what the market need is, find like a loophole, find an opportunity, and then run with it? Or
That's tough, though.
No?
That's tough. I mean, it's there's a lot of merit in that, but it's really hard to find what is that loophole in the market and what does the market need.
But they generally say entrepreneurs, when you start something and you start something really passionately, it comes from an experience of your own or something that you see people struggle with day after day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you see that, or do those aspects come in your being where you see inefficiencies and you say, hey, I want to solve that?
I think definitely. I mean, you do have to be market driven. You have to see what I guess what's lacking in the market. I suppose. I mean, otherwise, why start a business?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, if it was as simple as that, then everybody would be successful, right? So a lot of times, I think sometimes you come up with a product that the market doesn't even know, or they don't know yet that they will need. So a lot of times it happens by accident. So it's I guess it's a tough balance, right? I mean, you try to start off with a theory and with a good study and with a good analysis, but maybe you'll make a mistake along the lines, and maybe that's what's going to succeed.
Are there like a few entrepreneurs around the world that you look up to, and you say, hey, this leadership style is great, or this entrepreneurship style is great?
How could you not make Jack Ma or Richard Branson?
Yeah, of course,
or of course Steve Jobs, just like many people, other people would say. But yeah, I mean, these guys are mavericks, but they know their market. They know what they want, and they've been successful in making the market believe or understand that their products is what the market needs. And I think that's why they were so successful.
Passion sometimes is kind of connected to being an introvert, being an extrovert, and usually the extroverted ones seem to be a little more upright and, forward with their passion, and the introverted ones do it quietly. Do you feel like that is connected to being an entrepreneur at some point, being a successful entrepreneur, building a brand as an entrepreneur?
To being an extroverted...
being an extroverted or an introverted entrepreneur? I mean, in today's day and age, I think it's a very gray area, right? How do you define an introvert and how do you define an extrovert?
Yeah.
But like a Jack Ma is out there putting himself day after day.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's an important part of building a brand for your company and yourself, or?
I would think so. A lot of people, or the customers nowadays, I think that they prefer to see a face behind the product.
Yeah.
Again, Steve Jobs, Jack Ma, Richard Branson, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Their products are great.
Yeah.
But by having the entrepreneur behind the product, people are able to associate some kind of heart and soul behind that product, and I think it's very important. Yeah.
What kind of entrepreneur would you want, like, define yourself as?
Nowadays, I mean, I've had a number like as I mentioned, I've had some successes. I've had many failures as well.
Yeah.
So I would say I'm a bit more of a cautious entrepreneur. I would like to think I'm a bit more smarter than where I was, say, 10, 20 years ago.
Okay.
So
as
yeah.
an entrepreneur or as a person?
As an entrepreneur.
Okay.
As an entrepreneur. So whereas maybe way back then, you know, you would try to come up with some crazy idea and, you know, throw money at it and believe that it was going to be the next best thing.
Big thing, yeah.
I probably wouldn't do that anymore. Yeah.
Did reality strike?
Many times. Many times. Yes,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Or you can say fortunately, because I mean, you do learn from those mistakes. So it's good that you learn from them, I suppose, at a relatively early age.
You spoke about failures a few times, so let's go back to that conversation,
no.
right? Let's talk about, I won't ask you about a failure experience, but how do you deal with failure? How do you feel like you're an entrepreneur? How do you deal with failure? How do you come out of it?
You know, I guess it's easier said than done, but you just have to try again. You have to kind of forget about how much money you lost. You have to regroup and analyze what made that project fail or what made that product fail, and just kind of, you know, pick things up, try it again. Maybe not doing it the same way that you did it the first time, but I think, and it's not just for entrepreneurs or people that are starting their own business, but even in the corporate world. I mean, if you can't just say, you know, let's forget it. You know, I failed this one time, and you know, I'll move on. I'll do something else. I mean, it never works that way. You just have to keep on trying, and of course, you have to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
Try to do better than what you were aiming to do the first time.
So failure is taken differently for different people, right? Sometimes it's extremely humbling. I think most times it's extremely humbling.
Especially the first time, I think.
Yeah, it kind of humbles you, grounds you, and says, okay, I need to like realign myself.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you come back with a passion that's double, saying, I will not fail this time, so I will make sure I do whatever but not fail?
I think you need to.
Okay.
I think you need to. I mean, I can imagine there are people that don't come back with that passion, or maybe there are people that don't come back at all.
Yeah.
But if you do come back with that passion, or as you said, you know, kind of, you know, double the passion as before, and you succeed, then things are just all in the past, and you realize, okay, that was something that I just had to go through to get to this point.
Fantastic. There's a very interesting part where all of us, again, during these conversations, spoke about the first buck we made, right? The first job, like that first peso you earned by yourself.
Okay.
Do you remember that?
It was probably sometime in high school. I mean, I worked at a relatively young age.
But with the family or
no,
summer jobs?
Summer job. My first summer job, I actually worked in the stock exchange for 2 summers. I was in high school.
Why were you such a responsible child, Cary?
I always thought that I was going to be this, you know, this hotshot real estate, stockbroker or some kind of big shot banker. You know, when we
you
grew
just
up,
became a hotshot real estate icon.
I wouldn't say hotshot, but I just, you know, I became a real estate professional, I suppose. No, but I mean, I really thought that I was going to go this path of becoming, you know, this big banker or stockbroker. I mean, I was in high school in the early 90s, which is when the stock exchange here in the Philippines was booming, and it was really the biggest, or it was a hip thing to be a stockbroker. Yeah. And that was also following the 80s in America, where, you know, movies like Wall Street and Boiler Room were what every young guy, everybody wanted to be those guys. So I was, you know, no different from them.
So you made your first buck there?
I would say in the corporate environment, yes.
Do you remember what you spent it on?
I probably went out that night and had fun. I was in high school.
Sure. You didn't buy somebody anything. You didn't save it up and buy somebody special something.
I didn't have anybody special at the time. Yes.
Okay. So you spent it. You went out and had a great time.
I probably had went out and had fun.
That's a great way to invest your money.
Well, I think, you know, at that age, you're not really gonna you're not gonna save up so much of your money for something big.
I bought myself sunglasses, so I'm nobody to speak to. I went and spent my money on fashion.
Yeah. I mean, why not, right?
Why
if
not?
it's something like sunglasses, it's something to make you look good, to make you feel good. And I think at that age, that's really what we spend on, right?
You have 2 kids, right?
I have 2 kids.
How old are they?
13 and 9.
What is it that you tell them most importantly, outside of school and outside of everything that they, what is most important to you from a values perspective that you give onto them?
Well, we always tell them to work hard at whatever it is that they do, whether it's school or whether it's in sports. My daughter's a dancer, so whether it's in her in her dancing community, is to just work hard, but always have fun.
Yeah.
You know, we're not those types of parents that say you have to have straight A's, you have to have the best grades. And if you don't get them, we'll get you, a tutor to make sure that you get those grades. Yeah. We let them also have their ups and downs and their early failures so that they can learn from it. But at the same time, we say just work, try your best, and make sure you're always having fun.
How do you think the world defines Cary?
Oh no.
In one word, so not a big sentence.
They'll probably say serious.
They'll say serious?
Yes.
And how would Cary define himself?
Fun.
Fun.
See, I would like to, I see myself as the opposite, but I know that's not the case.
Why? It's whatever you want to be, Cary.
It is, but like I said, if it's the outside looking in, especially I think work colleagues, they'll probably see me as a more serious person. Even my family, I think at times. So, yeah.
But inside you're all fun.
It couldn't be all fun, but a lot of it is fun.
Fantastic.
I'd like to believe that we have to have fun in whatever it is that we do. If we're not having fun working, or coming up with a new project or whatnot, then why do it?
So I seriously believe we're a mix of what the world sees us and what we feel we are. We're somewhere in the middle. So I feel like you're in a very good place, right? You're serious and fun together, and that's a fantastic place to be.
So far so good, I suppose.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for having a conversation with us today, Cary.
Well, thank you as well, Bhavna. Thank you for having me.